Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Are you ready for some big news in the aerospace world?
Always. What do you have for us today?
Well, today we're talking about Triumph Group, TGI.
Oh.
And they are going private
Wow.
in a massive acquisition deal.
Huge news.
$3 billion.
Wow. That's quite a deal.
Yeah, back in October 2024, they were exploring options,
Right.
and bam, here we are.
So what does this mean for investors?
Well, shareholders are definitely happy.
Yeah, them.
They're getting a 123% premium
Wow.
over Triumph's unaffected closing stock price.
That's incredible. Not chump change at all.
Definitely not, and the players involved are big.
Oh.
Warburg, Pincus, and Berkshire partners.
I see private equity giants.
Yeah, known for their strategic investments.
So what's their game here? What are they seeing in Triumph Group?
That's a good question. You see, private equity often sees hidden value in companies like Triumph Group. And they might streamline manufacturing, divest non-core assets, or even position the company for a future IPO at a much higher valuation.
So they're not just buying Triumph, they're betting on its future.
Exactly. They're betting on their ability to transform it into a leaner, meaner profit-making machine.
Interesting. And speaking of profits,
Yeah.
Triumph has had impressive numbers lately, right?
Yeah, their November 2024 earnings report was stellar.
Oh, really?
They crushed analysts' expectations.
By how much?
Over 3,000%.
3,000. That's almost unheard of. What did they do differently?
I don't know. Makes you wonder, though, right?
For sure. It definitely explains why private equity came knocking.
Yeah, strong financial performance makes a company attractive.
Absolutely. So let's break down those financials a bit.
Okay.
Analyst recommendations for TGI are a hold right now,
Yeah.
with a price target of $16.38.
Interesting. That's actually below the current trading price.
It is, and the valuation is also interesting.
Yeah.
TGI's current PE ratio is very low, only 2.76
Compared to a forward PE of,
20.97.
that's a big difference.
Quite a discrepancy.
That low PE ratio is interesting.
Yeah.
It means investors aren't paying much for each dollar of Triumph's earnings right now. Could this be a sign the market is undervaluing them?
That's the million-dollar question.
Especially with that forward PE being so much higher.
It does suggest that analysts expect earnings to jump significantly in the future.
Right, but is the market overlooking Triumph's potential?
Well, it's something investors will be watching closely.
This acquisition raises some questions
Like what?
about how Triumph will operate as a company,
I see.
what this means for anyone interested in the aerospace industry,
Okay.
because the industry is poised for growth in the coming years.
Absolutely.
Things like aging aircraft fleets needing replacement,
Right.
increasing military spending around the globe,
Yeah.
and the phenomenal growth in Asian markets are all fueling the demand for new aircraft.
And aerospace technologies.
So Triumph Group, which supplies components for various aviation platforms, is sitting pretty.
They are definitely well-positioned to capitalize on this industry growth.
Now let's look at Triumph's stock performance.
Okay.
It's currently trading above both its 50-day and 200-day moving averages.
Which usually indicates a bullish trend.
So things are looking up for Triumph.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We should look at some other technical indicators, too.
Okay.
Like RSI.
The Relative Strength Index.
Yes.
What about it?
Well, it's approaching oversold territory.
Okay, so the RSI is like a thermometer for stock momentum.
Right.
A high reading means the stock is getting overheated,
And a low reading might mean it's cooling down.
making a good time to buy. So what does this mixed technical picture tell us about Triumph's short-term outlook?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll dig into further in the next part of our show. So we've got these technical indicators.
Yeah.
They're hinting at different possibilities.
Right.
On the one hand, Triumph's stock is trading above its key moving averages,
Right.
which usually suggests a bullish trend. But then you've got the RSI dipping into oversold territory.
Right.
Could signal a potential pullback
Yeah.
or even a buying opportunity.
It's like a market can't make up its mind.
Yeah, sometimes it happens.
And that's what makes investing so exciting, right?
Absolutely. You have to analyze the data, weigh the different factors, and just make your best guess.
Use your gut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where understanding the fundamentals comes in.
Right.
The fundamentals of a company and its industry.
Right.
It helps you cut through the noise and make informed decisions.
Speaking of fundamentals,
Yeah.
let's go back to this acquisition deal.
Okay.
$3 billion.
Yeah.
What does this tell us about the private equity world's outlook on the aerospace sector?
It's a huge vote of confidence, for sure. Warburg, Pincus, and Berkshire partners don't make impulsive bets.
Right.
They do their homework.
Due diligence.
Exactly. This investment indicates that they see significant long-term value in Triumph Group.
So they're basically betting on a continued upward trajectory for the whole industry.
That's a safe bet.
Right.
Remember all those factors we discussed earlier?
Yeah.
Aging aircraft fleets,
Yep.
rising military expenditures, and that phenomenal growth in Asian markets.
Right.
These are long-term trends.
Exactly.
Likely to drive demand for aerospace products and services for years to come.
Which brings us back to Triumph Group's future as a private entity.
Right.
They'll be free from the pressures of quarterly earnings reports and shareholder expectations.
Exactly. And that freedom can be a game changer for a company.
I bet.
They can focus on long-term strategies,
Uh-huh.
make bold investments in research and development, and position themselves for future growth without the constant scrutiny of the public markets.
Like a fresh start.
Yeah, a chance to reinvent themselves and emerge even stronger. It makes you wonder what their next move will be.
It does. What do you think?
Well, it's hard to say for sure, but this story is compelling.
We've got a company with a solid track record, a major acquisition deal, an industry poised for significant growth.
Yeah, it's a recipe for some exciting developments down the road.
Definitely. So for all our listeners out there,
Yes.
what should you be watching for with Triumph Group going forward?
Good question.
Keep an eye on how they leverage their newfound private status.
Okay.
Will they make significant changes to their operations? Will they invest heavily in new technologies? Will they target new markets?
All excellent questions. And while we don't have a crystal ball, one thing is for sure.
What's that?
Triumph Group's story is far from over.
I agree. In fact, I'd say this is just the beginning of an exciting new chapter.
And who knows, maybe this acquisition will inspire other companies in the aerospace sector to explore similar paths.
That's true. The market loves a good trend, after all.
So it'll be interesting to see if this deal sets off a wave of consolidation in the industry.
Yeah, it will. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We've talked about Triumph Group's surprise acquisition, their stellar financial performance, and the promising outlook for the aerospace industry.
Right.
But before we wrap up,
Yeah.
let's address the elephant in the room.
The discrepancy between the analysts' hold rating and the company's impressive earnings.
That's the one.
It's almost like the analysts haven't quite caught up with Triumph's success story. What do you think?
Well, analysts can be cautious.
Makes sense.
They rely on historical data and established trends.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it takes them a while to adjust their models to reflect rapid growth or sudden shifts.
So it's possible they're simply playing catch-up with Triumph Group's recent performance.
It's plausible. Their price target of $16.38 is based on their current analysis. But if Triumph continues to outperform expectations, we could see those price targets revised upwards.
Which would be good news for investors who got in early.
For sure. And it highlights the importance of not relying solely on analyst ratings.
You got to do your own research.
Exactly. Consider all the information and make informed decisions.
Like that old saying, do your own research.
Haha, always good advice.
But let's shift gears for a moment.
Okay.
Let's talk about the human side of this acquisition.
Yeah.
What does this mean for the employees of Triumph Group?
That's an important point. Big corporate deals can often create uncertainty and anxiety for the workers.
Of course. I'm sure it can be unsettling not knowing what the future holds.
Absolutely. But in this case, it's worth noting that the press release announcing the deal highlighted the potential for more opportunities for employees as a result of going private.
So maybe this isn't just about financial restructuring, but also about investing in the company's human capital.
That's a possibility worth considering. Private equity firms often bring in new management teams and implement different operational strategies. This can lead to changes in roles and responsibilities, but it can also create new avenues for professional growth and development.
So it's a fresh start, not just for the company, but for the employees too.
Exactly. And who knows? Maybe this will lead to a more dynamic and innovative work environment at Triumph.
Okay, so we've got a company with a strong track record, a massive acquisition deal, a promising industry outlook, and some questions about what the future holds. What's your final takeaway for our listeners today?
Well, if I had to sum it up in one sentence, I'd say this Triumph Group's journey is a fascinating case study of how a company can adapt and evolve and potentially thrive in a rapidly changing market.
Well said. It's a good reminder that the world of investing is never dull.
Never.
Always something new to learn.
Always a surprise around the corner.
So there you have it, folks. Our look at Triumph Group and the world of aerospace. We hope you found this episode informative and engaging.
We encourage you to continue following this story as it unfolds.
Yeah, who knows what surprises are in store.
Be sure to subscribe to Investing Talk podcasts.
Share this episode with your fellow investors.
And leave us a comment with your predictions for Triumph Group's future.
We love hearing from you. Thanks for tuning in.